Okay, today we will cover the session. In session 5, we will cover the Docker networking, and we will cover extensive on bridge networking and host networking along with the examples. Okay, Docker overall supports 4 types of network: bridge network, host network, overlay network, and MAC-VLAN network. We will covering only bridge and host network in this session. Overlay and MAC-VLAN network will be covered in the advanced session. Will not be covered today. So when we start Docker Farm, then we will cover that also. Okay. So in Docker, if you want to see that what are the networks are present, the command is Docker network ls. So if I do Docker network ls, I will get all the networks that has been present. So if you see on my screen, so the first is the network ID, second the name of the network. This is the name which we define what network we are to. This is a driver. So it's a bridge network driver, or it's a host network driver, or this is like that. And what is the scope of that network? It is local, or we can also visibility outside local host also. Okay. So if we want to check a particular network, we can do that on Docker network inspect and network ID. So if you want to check this network ID, it will give all the details. Then when it was created, what is the scope, what a driver, is the IPv6 enabled or not, it is attachable, all the information about this network will be visible in that one. Okay. So I'm in the host machine. I'm still not inside the container. So we will start with the bridge networking. So bridge networking, the concept of bridge networking is that every container will get its own IP address from the bridge network. So if you want each container having a similar port number, and if you want to spawn it, expose it to the host, you can do it, because each container will have a different IP address. So if you go to the diagram, I've created this diagram. So if suppose if you have 3 containers and you have a bridge network and their network card, so it will create an IP using that bridge network. So every container will get a different IP using the bridge network, and this bridge network will be connected to the NIC of the host of your host machine. Okay, so that's the concept of the bridge network. So in bridge network, I can allocate a different IP from the bridge network. So if you see my screen, and if I do Docker network ls, so this is the bridge network. Okay. So if I use this network to the container, so the container will get a IP address from this range. If you go to this one, container will get the IP address from this range. Okay. So this is a subnet. So the container will get 172.17.0.1. So if I create a second container for this one, so it will get 02, 03 up till because subnet is up to 16, so I can create a system network from this one. Okay. So that's the concept of this network. Okay. So suppose I want to create a network on the host to be used for the container. I want to create a new bridge network and with a different set of subnets and all. So we can do that. We can do it by using command Docker network create. Okay. So what we need to mention that we have to mention what the subnet we are selecting, what is the driver we are choosing, because driver was already been created on the host, and what is the name of the network we want to do that. Okay. So here this stage name is given by me. So if I run this command, it will create a new done one. Okay. Since I've already had this one, so let me create. Suppose let me create prod. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I have to create. I can't use the same subnet for that. Okay. So I created a new network using Docker network gate. If I see the Docker network ls, so I created this bridge network. Okay. And this has an IP range starting from 192.16.9.0 up till 24. Okay. So I created one example that how if I do this create, so this is the subnet range that will be allocated, and this is a network name. This is a name I can choose any name, and after that it will create this one. The big network, new network will be created, and I can create a container and attach this network to the container. So the container will have an IP address from this big network.
Sir, I have one question.
Yeah, please. Yes.
Sir, this subnet you provided, in real-time scenario, who provide this subnet address?
The administrator, the network administrator provide that.
Okay.
Okay. So till now we have seen that how to create a container with a name of the container with the image. If you want to create a container along with the network defined network, I can do that. So the command is in the previous session we have covered how to create a container, but we have not covered this portion, creating container and allocating a particular network. Okay. So I created this prod one. Sorry. Okay. So if I run this command, it will create a container with the name CentOS network test, okay, and using the image CentOS and allocating a network from the allocating a bridge network named prod. Okay. Let me clear that Docker PS -a. So if I do Docker PS, I created this container just now. It's up for a second. This is the name of container that I created, and this is the okay. I need to check that what IP has been allocated. So what I need to do that I need to log in inside the container first. So to log in inside the container is a Docker escape with the command -IT is for interactive mode. Container ID I will pass the container ID, and I will pass its bash. I want to bash. Okay. Since this is a CentOS network, network tools is not installed, so I need to install a network tools. So yum install net tools -y is the command, because I can't, if I do if config it will show that the command not come, so I need to install this for that, because with the containerized images the if config network tools is not present, so I need to install that one. Okay, so if I do pip config, I mean still inside the container. If I do pip config, see the IP range. It's a 192.16.9.2. Okay, so it has allocated the IP from that subnetwork because I was using the network name prod, and it has used the IP from that one. So this container has been allocated this IP. Okay, so if I do exit, okay, now if I run again this thing, and I do Docker network test 1 and using the same network, okay, I'm using the same network and same images. If I do it, so I have this new container created, and if I do Docker -t and that new container, this one, it has been created, test 1, and if I do, I again need to install because this will not be there. This is required to check the IP address, because if config command will not work unless you don't have a network on Linux. So yeah. Okay. And if I do config, see it has allocated a new IP 9.3. Okay. I just exit one. Okay. If I ping this IP from the host to the container, see that the network is established. Okay. The host has a different set of IP, different set of subnet, because the host is setting a VM, so it's been allocated to the workstation, or if they are in production, if the IP address ranges from what the ESX servers allocated. But inside a container, you created your own network interface, and you created as your own subnet, and you have allocated the container IP. Right? So this is how the bridge network works. So if you go back to slide, back to this one. So this bridge network which I have created, named prod. So 3 containers will get a different IP. So it will take it from the subnet, it will allocate one IP, and if you get another container, it will allocate the next IP. If the container, you can allocate the next IP. So this is how bridge network works. Okay, and this bridge network will communicate to your network card for the host. So if it is a VM, it's a virtual NIC. If it's your standalone machine, if you're installing on a standalone laptop, that your NIC of your network card of your laptop. Okay. So this we have covered. Okay. So I've also shared a screenshot for that how it is working. Okay. So each container will have its own IP address, so you able to ping that. Okay, suppose I have this container created, and I have only one set of network that has been allocated to this one, but I want more network to be allocated. So I want host network also to be attached to that container. So I should know that. So for these 2 containers, this is a network that is allocated. Okay, this prod network, which is of type bridge. This is your bridge. Okay, I want to add. Suppose I want to also allocate. Suppose this network also. Okay, another bridge network. So what will you do? The command is Docker network connect. You have to give the network name and then the container name. So if I do Docker network connect, and if I do the network name is suppose for this stage, okay, and the container suppose I'm giving it to CentOS test, okay, network test. So now this this will have the 2 IPs, okay. We can check that. So it has been allocated one network here, 10.2. Okay, I've selected the one. Yeah, that's okay. So it has allocated this one and this one. It has allocated 192.16.9.2, 192.16.10.2. Okay. So if I exit one and if I do Docker network inspect stage, okay, the stage has the IP range for 10.2, okay, and that prod has the IP range for 9.2. Okay, so both IP has been allocated. So this way, I can allocate different networks to a container. So I can allocate even a combination of bridge and host also. We can allocate multiple networks to that container. So while designing a network system within a host to the multiple containers, we can use that to communicate between the containers also. Because if the container has allocated to the same bridge network, the container can communicate with each other, because every container will think that will think as a standalone machine has been allocated a different IP set, and they belong to the same subnet, so they can communicate each other through each IP address. Okay, and I can have a different set of containers with a different set of with a different bridge network, so that set of container will not communicate with the first one. So suppose on a system, if I have two different type of applications, or even we have made it a Dockerized application, and we have the UI application and the backend also. So I want the backend application to communicate with each other, and I want to cluster it out. So I need to allocate the IP address in the same subnetwork. And for the UI, I want to do that using the different setup. So what I can do, I can create a two bridge network, and for the UI set of containers, I will use the bridge one, and for the backend, I will do the bridge two. Okay. So now the UI and backend will not communicate directly with each other, but two backend containers can communicate with each other via the IP. Okay. Okay, coming to the host network. So what host network does? It allocates your same IP and the port number that is allocated to that host. That means your virtual machine or your standalone host where your Docker service is running. So it will not create a new IP or new range for that. It will take the same IP and allocate to the container. It is the same thing when you create a container and using the port forwarding. So if the host network is running on some IP, suppose 192.168.1.1, the container will get allocated with the same IP and the same port. Okay. So in this scenario, what does it mean that this standalone environment will get IP from that host NIC and has allocated. So outside environment can directly communicate with that container. So that's one advantage. The disadvantage is that if you want to allocate the same port to multiple containers, it will create a conflict because the IP address remains the same. So that's the disadvantage for this design. But yeah, we can design based on the situation that which network to collect, which network to create, and which network to use. Okay. So to check that, what we can do. So I already have this host network created. Okay. If I do Docker network inspect and give the network name, so it has already been created and it has been named host. The scope is local because it's communicated from between your host machine to the container. Okay. We are not it has not been enabled, and it has all the parameters that you can configure. Okay. So to create the container using that host name, what we can do that REST commands remain the same. You have to give the container name, send OS on host network. Okay. The network name will be the host. Okay. It's the same thing, but we are doing it. Sorry. We have to pass the anything. Last command. So if I do Docker PS, I have this container created and this network is on host. Okay. So let me check that what IP has been allocated. Okay. So if I want to know what is the IP address of this host, so it has been allocated IP address it has been allocated this IP address of range of this one. Okay. So if I want to create, so let me check what the IP address has been allocated to this host. So Docker check minus IP. If I do put something, it will not work because the command is not on. I need to install NetTools. Okay, it will take some time to complete. Wait it this NetTools gets installed, then we will check that what IP address has been. Okay, we will check that what IP address that is allocated to this container. So we check that it has allocated this IP address in that container. Okay. And if you go to the host, okay, it has allocated the same range IP address. If you go to the host, it has allocated the same range IP address for all the other nodes. Okay. So so that's the concept of host network. So the basic difference between this host network and bridge network is like in case of bridge network, every container will start getting a different IP address from the bridge network, and that bridge network has been connected to the NIC, so that way it gets all the internet connectivity and all the stuff. Okay. And in case of host network, this container is getting the network for the host from the host directly. So whatever the network that the host has, it has been passed on to the container. That's the main difference. Okay. So as I told that it uses the base host IP address and port number, and check which network is host by using. We can check it by Docker network ls that which network is the host, and we can create a container just like I have explained in this before. Okay, and we can log inside the container and install the networks. Okay, I've taken this snapshot for your reference purpose so that we can use you can check later that how to do all stuff. Okay, so here I'm showing that how to create a host network using this command. Now, till now we have seen that how to create a network, but on how to allocate a multiple network to a container. But if you want to delete a network, or if you want to detach a container from a particular network, so these are the two stuff we also need to do, because we have created it, so we must know how to destroy it also. Okay. So if you see that yes, so for this Docker CentOS network test, I have allocated 2 bridge networks. Okay, so I can detach it also using the command Docker network disconnect. Okay, so see, this is just the opposite of Docker network connect. So I have allocated the 2 bridge networks, stage and prod to this container. So if I do, I can disassociate with the particular network also using the Docker network disconnect. So Docker network. So the command is Docker network disconnect, and I have to give the network name. Suppose I want to do this one, and I have to give the container name. If I do it again, it will show me the error. Okay, that is not connected to stage. Okay, I can again connect it back to the stage. I can do it to connect, and it will again get connected again. Okay, so I can again disconnect it. I can also disconnect with the prod.